How much time? 30? 30 seconds? I'm on right now. I don't believe you. What?
Obvious, I think, to everybody that not only was shutting down Parliament at this crucial time the obviously wrong thing to do, we should be sitting each and every day to resolve this crisis, but that the Prime Minister was not telling the truth about why he was doing it. And this is really important. Shutting down Parliament at this crucial time the obviously wrong thing to do.
Do you know these tits, Errol?
I know a lot of tits, Governor, but I don't know any quite as stupid as these two.
Wednesday greetings and salutations, brewers, dear viewers. Welcome to the stream, welcome to the Brews at 10. I'm your humble host, Lefty. How are we brewing this evening? Trying to fit as many brew puns into the opening part of the stream, in case you couldn't tell. Let's brew this thing. Yes, Solidari-Tea, everybody. Brew crew assembled. Davinia Robbins was first in the chat. Nice to see you as always. Hope you're well. Comrades with us as well. Greetings across the border. Morbius as well. Great to see you. I hope you've been well. Been enjoying your gardening channel. I do highly recommend that as well. For other viewers, go and check it out. I hope you're well, and what a great way to return to a live stream with a membership as well. Oh, thanks a lot, Morbius. Let's big up more. Yeah, great to see you. We have Graham Turner in the chat as well. greeting more with a 4-star salute. Viva Viva Palestina, of course. Thanks as always, Graham, for throwing up the Palestine flags. Nice and early, that's what we like to see, people. Good to see people in the community reunited. I'll drink to that. Well, I'll just slightly sip to that. A piping hot brew here. Oh, it's fresh. And speaking of community, gifted membership as well. Thank you, Morbius. 178 now. Not certain how much you've been able to keep up with the channel lately more, but we did get above the 250 briefly. We have returned, sort of flatlined this week around the 175, 176 area, which is good. Hopefully that means people are renewing the memberships. So thanks again for that. You missed the perks and tea-based puns. Well, yeah, just 2 of the reasons to watch the channel. And treat yourself to a membership. That's all. Put up the almost latest. These are the members that we had at the start of the stream. We can add more. And Rohan Harridge to the list as well. So thanks, everybody. Yeah, if you'd like to enjoy the perks, along with these fine people you can see on your screen, it's just 99 pence. Hit the perks button if you want to find out more about that. There's exclusive content, early viewings, that kind of thing. Static emojis on streams. And as I pointed out recently, now that I've unearthed a lot of the footage, can do the next in that my JSO story series, which will be covering the slow march period in 2024, or from then. Other ways you can support this channel are with super chats or super stickers if you're watching live, super thanks if you're watching back later on, and the trusty Buy Me a Coffee page is always in the description of any content on the channel if you'd like to go and check out the link for that one. Not everybody's able to contribute through or via YouTube, so please do check out that link. Thank you very much, everybody, however you choose to support us here at My Left Eye. Aaron Gray's with us. Solidari-Tea, nice to see you. Another fine mess you've got me into, Oliver Laurel and Stan Hardy. Well, it's been Ollie, what's his face? Robbins. I seem to have had a blind... I must have heard his name 1,000 times this week, but I still have a bit of a blind spot for his surname. I think it's, like I said earlier, because of the... initially I couldn't stop thinking about that guy from In the Thick of It, so I nearly keep calling him Ollie Addison. Because it's Chris Addison, isn't it, I think, who plays Ollie in the thick of it. Anyway, Ollie Robbins has certainly gotten Starmer into another mess, that's for sure. Or certain. Or you can say them both at the same time, like I just attempted to. Not just that, though. Have you also noticed, well, I may as well get into what's coming up on stream as I say this as well. So, as people were looking into the former senior civil servant, things were unearthed about other suggestions that people with dodgy histories of friendships with, you know, convicted nonces being potentially made ambassador or offered or in conversation about becoming ambassador, with Matthew Doyle. And it's just going to go on and on. Now, whilst they're investigating Matthew Doyle, something will come up about someone else, And then I'm hoping after that, whilst we're investigating that person, something will come up about one or several senior Labour figures, including cabinet members, and then hopefully the whole thing will collapse from within. That sounds like a fine mess to me. Abdul, nice to see you on stream. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Thanks a lot for your recent comments on content as well. Great to see you live. Solidarity. Let's please big up Abdul in the chat for that super sticker. You can't react to super stickers the same way you can super chat, but I would if I could, Abdul. Quite a cute little super sticker there as well. Is it a fox? Is it a dog? Whatever it is. Well, bravo. Grazie mille. So yes, PMQs, with it being a Wednesday, Keith's catchphrases. Will it be the final one? And if so, that brings me on to, just very briefly, the poll. It's a stream with a poll. Potentially a corgi, yeah, good point there, Comrie. Yes, if it is potentially one of, or the final PMQs, or Keith's catchphrases, that is. By what means will Keir Starmer leave number 10? Will it be by resignation, by a vote of no confidence, or leadership challenge perhaps? Two in one option there. By losing the next general election, will he somehow survive all of this, or even survive a leadership challenge or vote of no confidence, get through to the next general election, which is scheduled for 3 years' time? Or will he leave number 10 via arrest? Knock wood, fingers crossed. Yeah, just a bit of fun in the poll. Do share your opinion. Yeah, like with a lot of polls, I guess it's what you actually think will happen as opposed to what you hope will happen, which can be somewhat different. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure it would be a 99% in favour of the final option. Lively debate on which animal is in the super sticker. I'll keep it coming. Why not? After Keith's catchphrases, I'm going to take a little bit of a sort of look back at the session yesterday. In fact, I'm going to do that for something specific before we start PMQs in a slightly unorthodox Wednesday session. I've just picked out a few of the more finer questions or testimonies from the session on Monday, sorry, not yesterday. As well as we always do, not exclusively on a Wednesday, but after PMQs, take a look at some of the latest polling, with the local elections coming up in 2 weeks and 1 day. Some of these could be pretty significant. So yeah, polling around the council elections, also around Keir Starmer himself, as well as some pretty interesting stats that were put together in the mainstream media earlier today. A couple of comedy clips thrown in as well, of course, and we'll take a look at the fallouts from all of this. Ollie Robbins, of course, doesn't understand why he was sacked. They've tried to make him the scapegoat for this whole thing. Of course, Starmer knew that Scandalson had failed the security vetting I would risk my entire reputation and everything I own on it. You might have noticed in the introduction of the stream as well, unfortunately, there's going to be a break from PMQs next week because with more double standards on display in a very, very hypocritical fashion, as you saw those words from 2019 when Johnson was Prime Minister. Yes, to try and save his own arse, Keir Starmer is proroguing Parliament. They're just also... I mean, I'm certain it's a coincidence, but there just happens to also be a certain trial coming up next week involving a certain 3 Ukrainian gentlemen of a certain profession, shall we say. I think we all know what that's about, right, Death?
Damn right!
Pretty loud and enthusiastic tonight, Death. So yes, how what chicanery, how duplicitous. That also means, of course, we'll be skipping Keith's catchphrases next week. However, it might be it's slightly convenient, yet slightly inconvenient. You see, next week, yours truly going to be down in London for the week with Take Back Power. Going to be keeping you up to speed with what Take Back Power doing during their action phase. It's weird talking about them in the third person, being a supporter, whatnot, member. Anyway, it would be good for them to be in Parliament, you know, whilst I'm around. Just stick it to them. But no, he's gone and having a week off because of this this trial, and maybe take a break from everybody basically telling me he should quit. So, what can I say? I always have to be careful on streams with what I can and can't say when it comes to stuff like this, but I can tell you that with there being an above 0% chance that I might be, shall we say, on the receiving end of some free bed and board from the metropolitan establishments at some point during the week. Might not have been able to bring you PMQs anyway, or a Keith's catchphrases. But yes, while everything's going on, I'm hopefully going to be able to keep you up to speed with lots of it, exclusive footage and whatnot. Obviously, the stuff comes first. But you're in the right place for the latest. I'm on the ground. So that'll be next week. Which I think is a pretty good substitution for a lack of PMQs, if I do say so myself. Yes, Comrie, I will keep you updated. Yeah, JK, that's why he's decided to prorogue Parliament. Lefty's coming to London. He was absolutely crapping his pants. That's right, Lefty. That's right, Keith. I'm coming to London.
Oh, God.
I'd better bugger off. I love action phases.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yeah, but if you are around in London next week, you know, if you want to come and show support or clap or whatever, go on the website, tbp.net. I nearly said .org then. Old habits die hard. Yeah, if you want to find out what's going on, and to be very specific, for legal purposes, that is not me encouraging anybody to do anything against the law, blah blah blah, boring legal stuff. Okay. Thanks a lot for your supportive comments in the chat as well. Let's kick off with the opening comedy clip, and this is going to be from Jonathan Pye, who really is putting Starmer through the ringer with this one. Need I remind you again, of course, Jonathan Pye is a character played by Tom Walker, who's a nice guy. I've had the pleasure of briefly meeting him in person, so don't bitch about the character, because it's theatre, darling, theatre.
Meanwhile, the Financial Times is reporting that Ollie Robbins is...
Just a sec, I only had audio.
Meanwhile, the Financial...
Yeah, I'll need a very quick tweak. Bear with. Graham, thank you very much for the coffee. Yes. Certainly need to keep caffeinated here. And I can respond to that, so I will. Let's big up. Graham in the chat, please, everybody. Solidarity. Right. IT team. Gonna have to go and open the cage. Should do it now. We're back on studio and now it should work.
Meanwhile, the Financial Times is reporting that Ollie Robbins is contemplating legal action against his dismissal. Perhaps little wonder, given he was so spectacularly fired out of a cannon by the Prime Minister over the appointment of an ambassador that had been signed off before Sir Ollie even arrived at the Foreign Office. Let's take a look at how this morning's hearings to the Foreign Affairs Select Committee unfolded. He's a fucking amateur. It's a totally shameful, embarrassing, testicle shrivelling, arsehole dilating embarrassment. He sacked this guy Robbins when it turns out he didn't need to. Right? One of the most absurd acts of political self-harm any Prime Minister has ever committed. Yet another example of terrible, terrible judgment on the part of the Prime Minister. He looks like a fucking amateur. Starmer has ended up firing the guy that he brought in to deliver the very thing he wanted him to deliver, and then fired him for delivering it. You see him yesterday in Parliament. Yeah, his entire parliamentary party looking at him with embarrassment, and everyone else in Westminster rubbing their hands with glee, shouting liar at him in the chamber, just so that they can put the footage of them being thrown out of the chamber by Lindsay Hoyle on their Instagram feed to make them look hard. Either the Prime Minister is just lying to us, or he is demonstrating a consistent lack of judgment on an almost planetary scale. Either of those traits in a political leader should be cause for concern. Someone who lies a lot, or someone who shits the bed every time they have a bad day at the office. Liar or bed shitter. And I don't think he's a liar. He's a bed shitter. There's shit everywhere. He's shit. Shit at politics, shit at communicating, shit at apologising. Well, I made a mistake and I apologise, but it's everyone else's fault. He did it. It's like having Manuel running the country. I know nothing. Nobody told me nothing. Then why didn't you ask? He's shit. Shit at almost all aspects of his job, apart from Iran, which I think he's doing all right on. But he's shit. The entire Mandelson saga has been own goal after own goal. Keir Starmer's entire premiership has been own goal after own goal. You know, I thought we were getting dull, boring, nasal, but competent and relatively trustworthy, particularly when compared to the previous lot of populist grifters, GB News hosts and multi-millionaire hedge fund managers. But what we've got is a slippery, disingenuous solicitor who has lost control. He's just toast. Toast made of white bread. He's panicked. He's a rabbit in the headlights of a high-speed train who's thrown a grenade at the civil service and they've just thrown it right back at him. First sign of trouble, Keir just throws the nearest senior civil servant under a bus until the storm passes. The problem is there's no one left to fire. Larry the cat, the chief mouser, withheld vital information from me. Amateur wanker. I tell you, my life was a lot less stressful when the Tories were in power. Well, because I didn't vote for those wankers, did I? Well, another tough day for Keir Starmer. The Mandelson affair seems to be going nowhere, and just weeks out from a very important election.
Go to jonathanpye.com if you want to check out tickets for his live show as well. I've seen him live. It's a good show. Really good. That bit at the end there. He's a character, just to remind you. Link in the description. If you want to see more content, go and subscribe. And more comedy coming up later on. But first, like I said, going to do a quick sort of mini recap. Basically, because even though I did live stream that security vetting session in the House of Commons on Monday, check that out for the full excruciating lot. But then a video the day after. I still don't think that I've made my feelings about the Speaker of the House, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, quite clear enough. That is to say, so far, I think I've been a little bit easy on him. So before we go into PMQs, because I'm sure there'll be probably further venting to come in the session. It's a first time watch for me, by the way. Not seen PMQs yet. So let's take a look at yesterday when he threw Zara Sultana out. Of course. This was after he'd thrown Lee Anderson out in a relatively calm manner, offered 30p Lee the chance to withdraw his original statement. But no sooner had the word liar passed the lips of the Member of Parliament for Coventry South than what can only be described as the most pathetic display of faux outrage you're ever likely to come across, with Lindsay Hoyle instantly changing mood, pretending to be completely outraged, but in the process entirely failing to do his job. This is someone who would have you think that he's completely competent and keeps good order in the House. But it becomes clearer the more you watch it that he just literally has no idea. Yeah. It's safe to say he's giving off pure supply teacher on the verge of a nervous breakdown sort of vibes, you know. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Now, you consider the pretty expert and, I don't know, a completely different tone in the way that Burko, who Lindsay Hall took over from, used to manage things. It's safe to say the vast majority prefer when he was in the Speaker's seat, despite the fact that he was a Tory. He has now, of course, defected to the Labour Party Stephen Bercow, the former Speaker of the House. But when you compare the two, especially, and I can't emphasise this enough, given the fact that he is the Speaker of the House, his job is to speak, the MPs speak to others through him, he's a conduit, because they're not directly talking to one another, that sort of bollocks. For someone whose job it is to speak, he can't enunciate. We've brought this up so many times. The man sounds like he's halfway through a watermelon after he's had a minor stroke. But let's focus on this session yesterday specifically. So I'm going to play the full clip with Zara Sultana standing up, calling Keir Starmer a liar, which he is. Under parliamentary protocol, you're not allowed to use the word liar. And this session was even preempted with a special statement from the Speaker, warning people not to say that Keir Starmer was lying, because he stood there and lied for hours. And I had to put up with it, so now I'm going to have a go at Lindsay Hoyle, because he's just absolute toilet. He really is. Okay, and even from the very moment he interrupts Zara Sultana with his phony outrage, he's like a headless chicken. So let's dissect this.
Mr. Speaker, we all know that the Prime Minister appointed Mandelson because he owes his job to him. Yep. He appointed him,
true.
He defended him, and
It's
now
true.
he claims to know nothing.
Breach.
He is gaslighting the nation. Yep. So let's call this out for what it is. The Prime Minister is a barefaced liar, and if he had any decency left...
Order.
Order. Sit and leave.
Sit and leave. Sit and leave. That's... okay. Sit and leave.
Order. Sit and leave.
So he clearly panicked. Doesn't know what the procedure is. Are you telling her to sit down, or are you telling her to leave? Because he can't seem to make his mind up.
Sit and leave.
Sit and leave.
Just shut up and tell me the answer. Shut up and tell me the answer. Just tell me the answer!
Leave now. I'll name you otherwise. I'd go now if I were you.
So this is the thing. She can either leave, or he'll do the bit of procedure where he names her, and then she has to leave. So it's, it's a lose-lose. So what has she got to lose? Leave or I'll kick you out, is that, what a threat.
Leave. I'm not. Leave.
And she's right to come back and say that she does have a duty to represent her constituents. The House of Commons itself, nay, Lindsay Hoyle, has a duty to not allow members to break the parliamentary ministerial code by lying in the chamber. She's right. This is such cowardice. He's obviously been put up to this by Starmer. This is the worst we've seen from Hoyle since that debacle with the SNP Gaza ceasefire motion back in 24, which was appalling. And this is just another example. What chicanery. He doesn't offer her the chance to withdraw the statement as well. It's just straight out.
I've known him. I've given the option to leave. I'd leave if I were you very quickly. Move before I read it and give me one option. Right, give me that. You have no duties. It's my duty to carry out.
You can't even get a coherent sentence together at this point. And is resigned to saying it's my duty to be important and do important things, and this house is in order. I'm keeping it in order, even though he can't even complete a straight sentence.
Duty to carry out and control this house. One chance.
He has a duty to carry out and control the house. He's not just going to control the house, he's going to carry it out. Carry it out into Parliament Square and all the way up Whitehall on your back. And again, you compare this to Burko. You know, order. And all of that business. And he was very firm but fair, you have to say. He would scrutinise his own lot with the Tories a hell of a lot more than Lindsay Hoyle does with Labour. They've put him in this place because they know that he's someone who they can control. He's essentially a cur. He thinks he's important, but is basically the only one in the room who can't tell what he is.
Duty to carry out and control this house. One chance. Do you want to leave now or not? Right. I name Zara Sultana. Minister, I beg to move that the name, the said member, be suspended from the House. Mr. Speaker, call Jane Kitchen. Jane Kitchen.
Just how he, the way he's reacting, you'd think that there was some sort of dirty protest or something. It's just a complete overreaction. She said the word liar, and he thinks that his drama will cover the fact that she's actually telling the truth. It's just so overly dramatic. I hate him. I can't stand him. He's just so pathetic.
I beg to move that Zara Sultana be suspended from the service of the House.
The question is that Zara Sultana be named and leave this House. All those in favour? Aye. Leave.
He says all those in favour, about 6 people say aye, and then he doesn't even ask for all those against. Like, just how rigged can it get, really? And again, you would think that this was something absolutely outrageous, that she'd done or said something absolutely outrageous, a huge string of profanity or graphic language of some description that was way beyond the pale. No. She said that Keir Starmer was lying, which is, she stated a fact. And facts aren't welcome in the House of Commons, certainly not while Lindsay Hoyle and Keir Starmer have a seat there. What a twat.
I'm sorry you've done this.
Yeah, not as sorry as we are that we had to witness that absolute shower. I feel a lot better now. Vented that. Well said, Zara. Sorry, just had to go and shut the window there. Getting a bit blustery. Up in north. Right, so will anybody get thrown out during PMQs? Remains to be seen. No spoilers in the chat, please. Will anyone get told to sit and leave? Sit, leave, leave, sit, sit down, leave, sit back down again, sit and leave.
Just shut up and tell me the answer. Shut up and tell you the answer. Just tell me the answer!
Davinia, are they dragged out if they refuse to leave? Well, there's only one way to find out. I've never seen that, unfortunately. And yeah, though, the way he was acting, you'd think that people were going to... like it was going to off with a head, or what, are people going to burst in through the doors of the Commons with Kalashnikovs or something, or what, you know, beef eaters are going to run in. In the Australian Parliament, you could probably call him a wanker on the way out, yeah. Just the latest on the poll before we go into Keith's catchphrases. Vote of no confidence or leadership challenge is currently in the lead, or the actually tied lead, with losing the next general election, both on 35%. 24% of you think he'll leave by resignation, and 6% think arrest. This will run to the end of the stream. Keep your votes coming in if you're just joining us. Okay. Time for Keith's catchphrases.
Oh no. We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole. Plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, it's Keith's catchphrases. We pit two phrases or words against one another, keep score as we go along. It's fairly simple. It has a very predictable syntax, dialogue. We try and make the most of it. There are a few rules for anybody who's not familiar with them. The contending phrases must be spoken by Keir Starmer. It's winner stays on, unless that contender has played all of the other contenders, and then they are replaced. Both contenders will be replaced if it's a draw as well. We do have a winner stays on this week with Deliver, aka Postman Twat, being successful last week. Third rule, slight variations are allowed, for example, past tenses, pluralisation, that kind of thing. There is a league as well, so it's 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 points for a loss. The league will last until the next general election, or Keir Starmer leaves number 10, whichever happens sooner. Well, we do have a poll concerning that, so. This is the current table. These are the standings at the top. We already have a champion, that is. Last week, week before last, it was confirmed that Security, having won 8 of the 9 games they played, would be champion. Congratulations once again to Security. In second place with 13 points, we have Postman Twat, tonight's contender. Third place, Budget. Fourth place, Change. Fifth place, tonight's contender, Clear, who's actually the viewers' selection. Did run a vote for this contender, so we'll see how Clear does. A chance to perhaps go above, depending on how many mentions they get. So not a lot of action at the bottom of the table, just to show you there. Still Plan is the only one who's scored any points in the bottom half. Deal, Fix, Black Hole and Inheritance all have diddly squats. Any questions, just let me know in the chats as we're going along. I'll try and keep up with the chat as we do. Of course, I've got to keep my ears out for the phrases, as well as provide in-depth and intense analysis of what's going on. So let's get going. Oh, of course, there is a hidden feature as well. That can be mentioned by anybody except Keith. It doesn't contribute towards the league, it's just a bit of fun at the side. I'm certain you wouldn't guess in 1,000 fucking years what the hidden word or phrase might be this week, given everything that's happened, there might be a very, very, very minuscule chance that the word or phrase will be mentioned. He jests. Right, so I think I've taken care of everything. Let's get straight into it. You can see a postman swap with deliver at the top. Well, that's what it looks like. Postman swap there. And got clear. You'll also hear this noise whenever any of the phrases are mentioned. Right, and as always, there's the hidden feature to listen out for. So as long as this useless pile of shite that you can see on your screen is ready, we'll get straight in. He really is the worst.
Now come to questions to the Prime Minister. Mike Wood.
Straight into it.
Question 1, Mr. Speaker.
No delegates from other countries, blah, blah, blah. Again. Okay then, straight into it.
Mr. Speaker, Queen Elizabeth II devoted her life to public service. As we mark the 100th anniversary...
Yeah. Taking all the public's money, if you count that as public service. Public service. Yeah, she... Anyway.
Anniversary of her birth.
Don't get me started.
I'm delighted her extraordinary reign will be marked by a permanent memorial. Mr. Speaker, in recent days, we've seen a series of despicable anti-Semitic arson attacks. With additional funding to deploy specialist officers, a fundamental reset of how we counter extremism, an action to tackle the poison of anti-Semitism in our schools, our colleges and the NHS, we will do everything in our power to keep British Jews safe. And I'm sure the whole House will join me in standing with our Jewish community. There is no place in British life for anti-Semitism. Mr. Speaker, today my thoughts are also with the family of
all false flags.
Stephen Lawrence, murdered in a racist attack 33 years ago today. We honour his legacy in the fight against racism and providing opportunity for every young person. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Sausages.
Can the Prime Minister deny that Downing Street considered appointing...
You scared the shit out of me there, fella. Fucking hell. He couldn't wait to get started. Sorry. This guy's enthusiasm just took me back for a moment there. Okay, I'm prepared. Deep breath.
Racism and providing opportunity for every young person. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Can the Prime Minister deny that Downing Street considered appointing Matthew Doyle to a diplomatic position?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Matthew Doyle worked for many years in public service, for me as Prime Minister and other ministers. When people leave roles in any organisation, there are often conversations about other roles they want to apply for, but nothing came of this.
We will come on to this later when we look at some of the news rounds, including, yes, the life and soul of the party. We've not actually taken a look at either seriously or in parody form, of course, with Pat McFadden. Yes, of course, this another friend of an extremely dodgy person being offered an ambassadorial role. And like I said at the start, while they're investigating him, more sordid details about someone else will come out, and then so on and so forth ad nauseum.
Pat McFadden, real life and soul of the party, that I don't know whether he was offered an ambassadorial role or not. falling asleep here.
Today marks the murder, the racist murder of my friend's brother, Stephen Lawrence. Tomorrow is St George's Day. Does my right honourable friend agree with me that now, more than ever...
What he's getting at is, of course, all of the gammons and Tommy 10-name dickheads will be out on the streets on St George's Day.
We need to tell the story, the positive story, of Englishness, founded in who we are and not of who the far right would like us to be.
Of course, Stephen Lawrence was a young guy, a young black British guy murdered by the police in the 90s, was it? I think it was in the 1990s, if I'm remembering the story correctly, and there was a massive attempt essentially to cover this up. Which is shameful, and Stephen's family, I think particularly his mother, who's been campaigning for some years, have been waiting for justice for a very long time.
Can I thank him for raising this? Of course, it was 33 years ago today that awful murder took place. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to have worked alongside Baroness Lawrence for many years now. She is an incredibly courageous and inspiring campaigner, notwithstanding all of the injustices that have been thrown to her in the last 33 years. We do celebrate St George's Day, we fly our flag, we celebrate this country's values.
The Turkish flag.
Of service, generosity and respect. They, Mr.
Someone who
Speaker,
didn't
are
exist.
English values, which is why...
And if he did, he was... Danish/Palestinian.
I love this country so much. There are those that seek to divide us, who tell us people are not welcome and try to rip our communities apart. We will never let them, Mr. Speaker. We stand together, united, and against any challenges that we may face.
Timmy Bairnott, the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr.
I just want to say, of course, they're stirring up racism with this phony BS that's going around at the moment, and the sort of things that they're throwing at Zach Polanski that are very reminiscent of the old 2017, 2019 elections, aren't they? Keith. Hypocrite.
Mr. Speaker, does the Prime Minister stand by his statement at the dispatch box on the 10th of September last year that full due process was followed in the appointment of Peter Mandelson
Hidden
as our
feature
ambassador?
unlocked. Hidden feature unlocked. Please try to remain calm during this extraordinary event.
Well, this is extra. Who'd have thought that in this session of all that this hidden feature could have been unlocked? Yes, it is, of course. Scandalson. So that's one mention. He gets his own sordid little corner on the bottom left of your screens. Just attend to that. There he is. So that counts as one. And the hidden feature actually gets off the mark first. Quite interesting. And we're still just at the start, so he could get quite a lot of points this week. Right, let's crack on.
To Washington.
Yes, I do. Mr. Speaker, let me make clear at the outset that the appointment itself was a mistake. It was my mistake. I've apologised to the victims for it, and I do so again.
This is a bit, we've got beyond this. The point is that he knew that he'd failed the security vetting. That's the main thing. Of course he regrets his appointment. He got caught out, he gambled and lost. He rushed through the appointment of an absolute political liability by reputation alone. So I think that's a bit of a wasted question there from Badenoch. We've already done this, but she is, of course, known for bringing up things yet again and asking the same old questions. Don't be surprised if during one of the 6 questions, we still hear about the Chagos Islands, despite everything that's happened this week.
What I set out to the House on Monday is that Foreign Office officials granted security clearance to Mandelson against the recommendation of UK security vetting. Yesterday, Sir Ollie Robbins was asked if he shared that decision with me, Number 10, or any other ministers.
He's going to sue you.
Answer, no.
Ollie Robbins is going to sue you. He was very careful in that session yesterday about Starmer's claim that Robbins had explained to him why he hadn't told him that Mandelson failed the vetting and that Starmer wasn't satisfied with his answer. Like I said, if that conversation ever took place, which I doubt it did, then Ollie Robbins' response would have been, because you told me to override the security vetting.
Mr. Speaker, that puts to bed all the allegations levelled at me by those opposite in relation to dishonesty. I believe last week they were all saying that it must have been shared with me. Sir Ollie was very clear yesterday it was not. I believe not sharing it was a serious error of judgment. That information should have been shared with me and other ministers.
Keith.
And if it had been...
Keith. Ollie Robbins was appointed after Mandelson's security vetting, so it couldn't have been his fault. After, at a different time, was not involved whatsoever. Of all the people that you could have thrown under the bus, it's almost like you just stuck a pin in a list of names.
Mandelson would not have been committed to post.
Mr. Speaker, it does not put to bed anything. On the 11th of November 2024, long before any vetting had happened, the Prime Minister received advice from Simon Case, the then Cabinet Secretary. The advice said the appointment would require, and I quote, the necessary security clearances before confirming the Prime Minister's choice. This advice was ignored. So how can the Prime Minister still believe that confirming Mandelson before the security clearances was following full due process?
Mr. Speaker, this was looked into by Sir Chris Wormold. I asked him to review the appointment process, including the vetting.
It's
he
Chris
confirmed,
Wormold's
Mr.
fault.
Speaker, his words, appropriate processes were followed.
Civil Services'
She's put
fault.
great weight on the order of events.
It's everybody's
I
fault,
remember
what it is.
I remind her what Sir Chris said last November in evidence to the House. He said this, and I quote, "When we are making appointments from outside the civil service, the normal thing is for security clearance to happen after appointment, but before the person signs a contract and takes up post." That is what happened in this case. Sir Ollie
We are talking about Peter effing Scandelson here. We're not talking about some Johnny who just walked in off the street, twice sacked for lying, with nicknames like the Prince of Darkness and Satan, and you might as well have a T-shirt that says "I'm a massive dodgy bastard" written on it. This is the Do you think the MI6 aren't aware of these things? Do you think that the vetting procedure company aren't aware of this, or none of the civil service? Jesus Christ, at least give us an ounce of credit, Keith, you absolute fuck up.
Robbins himself, Mr. Speaker, also gave evidence, and he said, and I quote, "As is normally the case with external appointments in his department, the appointment was made subject to obtaining security clearance." Mr. Speaker, on top of that...
I would like to stipulate I'm not counting clearance as clear, because it's a completely different context, if you know what I mean. It's mostly that, let me be clear, or I've been clear about what I've said, so I'm not counting clearance as a permutation, for anybody wondering, you eagle-eared. No. What's got good ears? Dog-eared? No, that means bad. You've got good ears, viewers.
Ollie Robbins has made clear that the fact that developed vetting was after the announcement made, in his words, no material difference to the conclusion that was reached. And Mr. Speaker, I add this, that what Sir Ollie Robbins wrote to the committee yesterday was this, and I quote, "When the Prime Minister informed the House that the proper process had been followed in respect of national security vetting, he was correct."
It's very interesting that he mentions Chris Wormald. He is relying on advice given to him after Mandelson was sacked by a cabinet secretary the Prime Minister then sacked. That is not relevant. I'm talking about the advice he was given before the appointment. He keeps mentioning Sir Ollie Robbins. Sir Ollie Robbins told us that the Prime Minister even sought clearance from His Majesty the King before the vetting. He'd already got agreement from the US administration. The chair of the Select Committee said that. Mandelson was a done deal. Yesterday, Sir Ollie Robbins said that the focus was on getting Mandelson out to Washington quickly. He said the Prime Minister's team showed a dismissive attitude to vetting. And they even argued Peter Mandelson didn't need any vetting at all. This clearly wasn't proper process. Why was due process not followed?
Picture.
Mr. Speaker, let me deal with this directly, particularly this question of pressure in relation to the decision to appoint and to put into post Peter Mandelson. So Ollie Robbins could not have been clearer in his evidence yesterday. He said this, I didn't feel under pressure personally in terms of my judgment. His words. Mr. Speaker, he went on to say, I have complete confidence that recommendations to me and the discussions we had and the decision we made were rigorously independent of any pressure. Mr. Speaker, on top of that, he was asked if any conversations led him to believe that Mandelson needed to take up the role regardless of vetting outcome. He said, I can say with certainty it was never put to me in that way. No pressure existed whatsoever in relation to this case. What is unacceptable is that the recommendation of UKSV was not given to me before Mandelson took up his post.
Mr. Speaker, we all heard what Sir Ollie Robbins said yesterday. The fact of the matter is that the Prime...
Yeah, I hate to agree with Badenoch here, but there was a massive headline on the BBC main news page that said Ollie Robbins, and then quote, was pressured by Downing Street. So that is pressure, and he said it himself.
The Minister spent a lot of time telling us just how furious he was to learn that Mandelson failed the vetting, the same Prime Minister who was trying to get into Washington without any vetting at all. It's just unbelievable. The reason the Cabinet Secretary advised the Prime Minister to carry out full vetting before the appointment, this is common sense, Mr. Speaker, carry out full vetting before the appointment, was to protect our national security. The due diligence document said Mandelson remained on the board of the Kremlin-linked defence company Sistema long after Putin's first invasion of Ukraine in 2014. The Prime Minister told us on Monday that he'd read that due diligence.
Have I missed some? Have I missed two? Well, it's got to be anybody apart from Starmer who says it. It can't be. I know Starmer's said it a few times, but they don't count. But have I missed a couple from Badenoch? Okay, I'll put it on 9. I might have missed a couple. They've been coming in thick and fast. Okay. Right, so I'll trust your judgments. All right, okay. So it is 7. Ah, got you. You were counting Starmers, I think. Recode. Let's start again. It's 7. 7. Order. Order.
Report. Why did the Prime Minister want to make a man with links to the Kremlin our ambassador in Washington?
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me deal with the first allegation she put in that question. It was always the case that would be developed vetting in this case. That was the understood process. That was carried out. It was reviewed by Sir Chris Warmold, and he said it was the appropriate process. Sir Ollie was absolutely clear that nobody put pressure on him to make this appointment, either whatever the sequence developed vetting. In relation to what was in the due process, any issues of national security are dealt with in the developed vetting process. I knew that. Peter Mandelson received clearance through that process. The problem was, as I said to the House, I was unaware that UKSV recommended against clearance. That is information that should have been brought to my attention. Mr. Speaker, they recommended with red flags that there shouldn't be clearance, and it was high concern. That information should have been available to me, made available to me at the time and subsequently. The fact that it wasn't was a very
These are all lies, by the way,
of
Lindsay Hoyle. Those are lies.
I don't know what planet the Prime Minister is on, Mr. Speaker.
Planet
Appointing
lies.
someone with known links to the Kremlin is not full due process.
In a bullshit galaxy.
If anybody had brought that sort of name to me when I was a Secretary of State, I would have said, no way. The Prime Minister thought someone with Kremlin links was still probably okay. Let's do some vetting.
Yeah, if it was a traffic light vetting system, it wouldn't just be a red light. They'd have to invent a new colour that only aliens can see.
Because you know what's really trippy, man? You can only see like a small fraction of what's out there. There's so much energy you don't know about.
No, but seriously, yeah, it should have been multiple red lights flashing so hard that they just explode with steam coming out of them like in a fucking cartoon or something. Really, let's just remind ourselves who we're talking about here.
Why does this matter? He keeps leaning on Sir Ollie Robbins, a man he sacked. He keeps leaning on him. Sir Ollie Robbins said yesterday that Peter Mandelson was given access to highly classified briefings even before he'd received clearance. That was a clear national security risk. How can the Prime Minister still maintain that full due process was followed?
Mr. Speaker,
yeah, because that is shocking.
As a member of the House of Lords...
That is shocking. That is shocking. We know that he was sharing things with Epstein. Classified things. You can't understate just what a concern it is. And Starmer gave him carte blanche. This absolute ghoul of a man. This serpentine freak. And now goodness knows where that information has been leaked to, who Epstein might or might not have sold it to. Cough, cough. Israel. Cough. I mean...
And Privy Councillor, and
crazy.
In accordance with guidance, documentation could have been provided to him and was provided to him. Strap material comes after developed vetting. But because he was a Privy Councillor, he could have access to other material before developed vetting.
This is a joke. He says a member of the House of Lords. Does he mean people like Matthew Doyle? Yeah. I'm amazed.
That was the biggest load of crap
I am
I've ever
amazed
heard.
at the level of chuntering from Labour MPs. He promised them probity. What he's given them is cronyism and an old boys club where Matthew Doyle is being proposed as an ambassador. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Mr.
Starmer, have you tried not appointing someone who is or is best friends with a convicted nonce? Might just want to give it a go for a change. Fucking hell, you know, even just by chance, you just pick someone at random, they'd have a lot less chance of being as dodgy as the people who Keir Starmer appoints, and it's almost as though it's some sort of sordid little circle now, isn't it? And look who's going to come in to oversee corruption, investigate corruption and things like this. Oh, it's Margaret Hodge, who was on TV today defending cronyism, saying it's okay to offer jobs to your friends. if you're in the kind of high positions that these people find themselves in. And again, this is the anti-corruption minister on TV defending cronyism, famously pictured with Mandelson's arm around her, even features in Sunday's Keith's Fondue Lounge scene, enjoying herself on the couch. That's just how long it's been known about this sordid little circle. I mean, come on. Yeah. And now, oh, it's okay, because we've appointed someone to oversee the overseers, just in case anyone has any concerns, and it's Tony Blair. And Ewan Blair. At this point, I don't even think I'd be shocked if that happened.
Speaker, we all heard Sir Ollie Robbins' testimony yesterday. The head of the Foreign Office was sacked for the Prime Minister's own failings. His backbenchers know that is not fair. Even his most loyal cabinet members won't defend it. The Prime Minister did not follow the process the Cabinet Secretary set out in November 2024. He knows he did not follow due.
And one of the things that frustrates me the most about politics is when they've been caught bang to rights, it drags on and on. As they deny it, you never get anyone throwing their arms up. Okay, it's a fair cop. I messed up, I'm going to have to face the music. No, they have to put us through God knows how many sessions like this, and obviously what the likes of from Cameron through to now have put us under these absolute ghouls defending their own lies with further lies, and it gets deeper and envelops. A lot of it, of course, is part of distraction, but it really is a waste of time and public money. Just think how much time and money we'd save if we had more honest politicians instead of having to go through all this claptrap nearly every week, except when they prorogue Parliament for their own convenience. How are those Ukrainian lads doing, by the way?
Process. Yet he told the House he had. Mr. Speaker, I cannot accuse the Prime Minister of deliberately misleading the House. But everyone can see what has happened here.
You should be able. How can any so-called seat of democracy call itself such a thing when you can't acknowledge or recognise dishonesty, lies, mistruths, however you want to put it, bullshit? No, there should be processes and mechanisms for that. Of course, you don't just want sessions to descend into people pointing and shouting liar, liar, because that's all you'd get. But to completely eradicate being able to identify that, when it is, of course, a grave breach of the ministerial code, is not something that I consider democracy. And it's just another reason why we need a citizens' house, of course.
This was not due process. Everyone knows the price of misleading the House. Will the Prime Minister finally take responsibility and go?
Well, Mr. Speaker, let's be absolutely clear. Before Mandelson took up his post, UKSV recommended with red flags that clearance should be denied, and there was high concern that was not brought to my attention or the attention of the Foreign Secretary at the time or subsequently is a very serious error of judgment, and anyone in my position would have lost confidence in the former Permanent Secretary. But, Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition claimed on Friday that Mandelson could not have been cleared against security advice. She was wrong about that. She said that ministers must have been told. She was wrong about that.
If somebody like him can pass the security vetting, then again I would severely doubt the efficacy of said vetting procedure. I wouldn't have any confidence in it whatsoever if the Prince of Darkness can waltz up and say with his, forked tongue between his teeth, "Do I pass?" Yeah, sure. In you come.
She claimed there was deliberate dishonesty. She was wrong about that. Wrong. She rushed to judgment,
don't do
as
the
she
call
always did,
response
just
thing.
like
I
the
hate
Iran
that.
war.
One of my pet peeves of PMQs is the call and response thing, where Starmer says something and they chunter something back.
Mr. Speaker.
It's like some sort of shit game show host that can't keep it together.
I was elected by the British people because they let the country down for 14 long years. Whatever she says, whatever noise they make, nothing is going to distract me from delivering for our country.
Well, took him a while. Postman Swat's got off the board. He's back in the game. It's game on.
My constituents are more concerned with the NHS and waiting lists. Thanks to this government, across England, waiting lists are coming down. In my part of the country, waiting lists have fallen by 13,000 in the past year alone. After years of Tory failure, we're getting the NHS back.
Give me a P. Give me an L. Give me an answered question. The Oscar goes to somebody else, Burgundy boy.
On its feet. Can the Prime Minister share with me what further plans we've got to get waiting lists down even more?
Aren't we you know, I was just thinking there when I was sitting down, aren't we fucking great? You know, we're just like great. I'll go in the hospital, it's fucking great.
And to make sure that we've once again got a health service to be proud of.
Well, the party opposite should hang their heads in shame at the state they left our NHS in. And I'm proud that this Labour government is fixing our NHS across the country. Waiting lists, Mr. Speaker, the lowest for 3 years. Best A&E waiting times for 5 years. Fastest ambulance respond times for half a decade.
There he
Cancer
is.
patients getting...
I don't think he was in last week, was he? Because they didn't do the obligatory cutaway shot while they're talking about the NHS. Starmer and Wesley there.
Wimp! Pervert! Nubbin!
Diagnosed in the shortest time on record.
I'll just leave that
Lots
hanging up
done,
there for
more
another
to do. That's why we're
minute or
delivering
two.
neighbourhood health centres in every community to speed up care. We did that because we invested. What did they do? They broke the NHS and then they opposed the investment that we put in.
David, leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Mr. Speaker, can I associate myself and my party with the comments of the Prime Minister on our wonderful late Queen? And can I also agree with him on the need to confront anti-Semitism wherever it is in our society, and also remembering Stephen Lawrence and his family? Mr. Speaker, I'm sure many of us in this House were shocked by the new revelations from Ollie Robbins yesterday. He said Number 10 told him to find a plum job for Matthew Doyle, another Labour crony friends with a convicted sex offender.
Well, you better get Margaret Hodge on this because she's apparently some sort of expert in this kind of thing and weeding it out. Anti-corruption baroness that she is. Yeah, she'll sort this right out. Don't worry, Ed.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister was asked on Monday whether Number 10 had proposed any political appointments other than Mandelson. Perhaps the last few hours have jogged his memory. Will he confirm today, did he know his office was lobbying for a diplomatic job for Matthew Doyle? And were they doing it on his authority?
Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier, Matthew Doyle worked for many years in public service.
Almost into
for
double
me
digits
as Prime
now.
Minister and other ministers. When people leave roles in any...
For anybody who wasn't familiar with previously seen Scandalson here get into the 20s in terms of mentions during a hidden feature session. Let's see if he can set a new record.
organisation, there are very often conversations about other roles they may want to apply for. In this case, nothing came of it.
David.
Mr. Speaker, the House and the public watching will note the Prime Minister failed to answer my questions. But Mr. Speaker, the chaos in this government mustn't stop us from focusing on the cost of living crisis hitting our country. President Trump's idiotic war with
poverty,
Iran
not
has
cost of living
already pushed up
crisis.
inflation in our
Poverty.
country to 3.3%. And the Prime Minister knows there's far worse to come for the British people here on in. They need help now. So will the Prime Minister follow other countries and use the Treasury's extra revenues from higher fuel prices to cut rail and bus fares and slash prices at the pump by 12p a litre?
Mr. Speaker, everybody can see that the conflict is causing serious economic damage in this country and countries around the world.
No, what we can see is that half of the cost is duty. It's tax. That's half of it. Okay? So it's a clear political choice as well. And let me remind you all, of course, this country has got 10 years' worth of oil and gas reserves.
This claim of a windfall for the government are politically misleading and economically illiterate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, poor...
Maybe invest more in renewables to light and heat people's homes. That might help.
Housing and temporary accommodation is having a devastating impact on families, their life chances, our schools and communities. Will he put the full weight of government behind ensuring that new developments in London are delivering for Londoners, not private investors and landlords, including on the Billingsgate Market site in my honourable friends Poplar and Limehouse constituencies?
She's setting up for a deliver.
We inherited a housing crisis in London, including record
inheritance
numbers of children living in temporary accommodation, because the party opposite failed to build the homes that we need. Mr. Speaker, we're building those homes, and I'm looking forward next week when Labour will deliver more security for tenants through our Renters' Rights Act. Can I commend Hackney Council, her council, on getting on with building affordable homes? What a stark contrast to the Green Party, who proposed 42,000 new homes across the capital and counting.
Mr. Fenton Glenn, I'm glad you've...
No, I think you'll find what they're opposing is private housing in favour of social housing, because this Labour are going to provide yada yada yada, what, 1.5 million, whatever it was, homes, with them being a quarter of the way through, or over a quarter of the way through the term now. That's a target they don't look set to match, and most of that is again just going to be money to private housing development companies and private landlords, not the social housing that's required, that's cheap and readily available. He's basically doing a Thatcher.
Found your feet, because I could hear you shouting earlier, so we won't do it next week. Dr. Ellie Chance.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister appointed Mandelson in a desperate and doomed attempt to pander to Donald Trump, despite knowing about his friendship with the paedophile Epstein and his links to foreign states. The Prime Minister resisted and then took a dismissive and extraordinarily incurious attitude to vetting, compromising national security. And now he's thrown a civil servant under the bus to save his own skin.
Similar to postman twat syndrome. My ear also pricks up every time I hear security now. Just one of those things.
All this from a Prime Minister who pledged to restore trust and integrity in government, but who's repeatedly betrayed the trust of voters and let the country down. Does the Prime Minister not recognise that the best thing he can do to restore trust and integrity is to take true responsibility
piss off.
and resign?
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, let me just correct
That's at
what
least
you said.
two resigns
There was no
now.
dismissive attitude to develop vetting. I knew the post was subject to develop vetting. It was subject to develop vetting. What didn't happen was that I was told of the UK SV recommendation. That was a serious error of judgment. Had I been told, the appointment wouldn't have gone out.
I'm going to have a freaking aneurysm if I hear this pathetic, lame, insincere, false explanation another time regarding your phony timeline of events that didn't happen. Doesn't matter how much emphasis you put on words in the sentence or how quickly you say them. I'm not going to be convinced whatsoever.
Ahead.
Martin Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In my constituency of Glasgow North, local people in Somerston experiencing antisocial behaviour tell me that what makes the greatest difference is visible local police officers on the beat. However, since 2017, local police numbers in Glasgow have fallen by 9%, leaving 214 fewer local officers serving communities. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that visible local policing is essential to tackling antisocial behaviour and...
Sorry, had to send them all to London to arrest some pensioners for holding up placards, because that's a better use of the nation's police, according to Keir Starmer.
restoring confidence in our communities?
My honourable friend, Scotland deserves safer streets and more visible policing. In England and Wales, Mr Speaker, Labour has put 3,000 more neighbourhood police officers on our streets, delivering a named police officer for every neighbourhood.
And Postman's Flat
SNP
takes the
government has
lead.
already had 2 decades and record funding to invest in public services.
He's come from 2-0
If they
down.
knew how to do it, they'd have done it by now, but they haven't.
He never counts him out.
Mr Speaker, we know that the Prime Minister has been playing fast and loose with the ministerial appointments in his chumocracy, so I want to ask him about the first one. Mr Speaker, their boos mean nothing to me, Mr Speaker. I've seen what makes them cheer. Yes. The Prime Minister, Jonathan Powell was appointed as the Prime Minister's special envoy to the British Indian Ocean Territories on the 6th of September, but throughout August, he held meetings with FCDO officials and was given access to classified information, including a meeting minute between the Prime Minister and the then Foreign Secretary sat next to him on the front bench today. So my question is very simple. When was Jonathan Powell appointed as the Prime Minister's special envoy to the British Indian Ocean Territory, and what security clearance did he have upon that appointment?
Let me say that Jonathan Powell is doing an excellent job for this government.
Powell is a name coming up now.
He is respected across the world and playing a significant part in dealing with the huge challenges that we face.
Jenny Riddle, Carpenter.
I find that bad.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Fertiliser prices are spiralling, and it's not just down to the war in the Middle East. It's also because of the choices of the previous Conservative government who let the UK's last ammonia plant based in Billingham close in 2023. They failed to see it as a nationally critical site that was critical to UK's food production. And instead that we are now more reliant on volatile imports. If we don't tackle this head on, higher fertiliser costs will mean higher food prices in the UK. Can I ask the Prime Minister what this government is doing to support British farmers, and does he agree with me that all options to bring down the cost of fertiliser should be on the table, including securing British homemade ammonia once again in the UK?
Well, clearly,
If you want fertiliser or manure, then just position yourself within the vicinity of Keir Starmer's mouth for more than 3 seconds and you'll have more than you could ever require in several lifetimes.
the Middle East conflict is placing real pressure on farmers. That's why it's very important that we de-escalate. Today, the UK is hosting military planners as work continues with France and other countries to help get the Strait of Hormuz open once the ceasefire holds. We've instructed the CMA to look more closely at fertiliser and red diesel to ensure farmers are getting a fair deal. We're overhauling regulations around fertiliser to diversify supply. On her particular case, we've also taken the decision to open the carbon dioxide plant in Teesside to protect supplies, because we will always...
We don't need more carbon dioxide. Have you not seen the parts per million charts? You psycho.
...to secure our economy.
No, he's talking about bottled CO2. Of course, I'm only joking, but of course, seriously, we are behind on our climate commitments.
Attention forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Leaders can delegate responsibility, but we cannot delegate accountability. Lord Carrington learned this in the army, and he lived it as Foreign Secretary when Argentina invaded the Falklands. In 1982, he held himself accountable for the failures of Foreign Office officials and resigned, even though he was later cleared of responsibility. Does the Right Honourable Member not believe in ministerial accountability?
Mr. Speaker, I've set out in terms what I wasn't told in relation to this.
I'm just struggling to think why he brought up the Falklands as a reference there. A bit of an obscure thing to bring up in relation to all this. Sorry, I was just slightly bamboozled for a moment.
process. It's clearly information that I should have been given. A UK SV recommendation with a double red flag should have been brought to my attention. It was a serious error of judgment that it wasn't, and anyone in my position would have.
Doc, good point in the chat there about the CO2. Yeah, from his carbon capture folly. Of course, instead of investing in renewables, Starmer's previously said that he would support basically a technology that doesn't exist outside of the realms of fantasy, and that is carbon capture, that you can retroactively reel back in the carbon that you spew out into the atmosphere via industry. Doesn't wash, it's a load of bollocks, but that will, yeah, if he wants more CO2, then why doesn't he back his own carbon capture BS?
Taken exactly the decision that I took in relation to the Permanent Secretary.
Foxcroft.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Housing is one of the biggest issues in my constituency. Lewisham Council is working hard to improve this, bringing its housing stock back in-house. Non-decent homes have fallen from 1 in 4 to 1 in 10. The repairs backlog was reduced by almost 2/3, and call waiting times have fallen from 70 minutes to 4. However, leaseholders and those with cladding issues still need support. So can the Prime Minister update the House on what this government is doing in these two very vital areas?
Mr. Speaker, we're tackling the injustice of leaseholds and fixing building safety, as she rightly highlights. And I can thank her for campaigning on this over many.
Hang on. A couple of minutes ago, you were basically talking about cutting corners with regulation and this sort of thing, cutting red tape and whatnot, things that can turn out to be a disaster. Things like Grenfell spring to mind. You can't have it both ways.
Many years. Mr. Speaker, we're capping ground rents at £250 to cut costs for almost 4 million leasehold properties. We're investing over £5 billion to remove dangerous cladding, including over £1 billion for social housing. In Lewisham and across the country, I'm determined that everyone should have a safe and secure home.
Lincoln John.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Can't believe you said that everyone should have a safe and secure home. 2 million empty properties we've got in this country, and increasing amounts of homeless people on the streets. You can't put the two things together. It's a very simple solution. It's just that nobody gets rich, unfortunately, when housing is treated as a necessity, as a human right, the same way that things like access to clean water should be. Surely in the 21st century, having a roof over your head isn't too much to ask for in the 6th biggest economy in the world.
Last Thursday, a man was arrested in Laleham in my Spelthorne constituency. He'd been approaching children at the primary school, having been warned by the police not to do so. He was taken into police custody, and after further examination, he was detained under the Mental Health Act. Unbelievably, he was living in an unlicensed HMO supported by the Home Office, a stone's throw from the primary school.
Andrew Luke, nice to see you in chat. Was enjoying one of your recent episodes earlier. Check out Andrew Luke's channel, everybody. We did a bit of a collab for the opening episode of Season 2 of Screen Cleaner. Check them out, people. Big Jerry's here as well. Nice to see you. Solidarity.
He will appreciate, and I know the Asylum Minister is looking very closely at this case, and obviously I can provide him with any further information as that emerges. Can I reassure him that all accommodation must meet contractual standards, and the Home Office works with the police to manage all sites safely. Local authorities are consulted prior to any accommodation being procured and can object to any proposal. And where there's strong evidence the site is not suitable, it will not proceed.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One of the
So that will they get security vetted then, Keith, and you'll know if they fail it or not? These buildings. That's going with the, with the security vetting. It's all about things being vetted, cleared, that sort of thing. Oh, he's all over it.
Main concerns North Durham residents raise with me is the vitality of local high
Is
streets.
that Luke Akhurst?
So I'm delighted
It is.
that in the
Bastard.
last year...
Look at him. Look at this turnip-faced twat. Got back from another extended holiday on Mercury. Have we, Luke? Of course, he was parachuted in and replaced a previously elected candidate. He is the quintessential Starmerite. Yeah, absolute dross.
A series of new independent businesses has opened in Chesterley Street, Front Street.
Nice North Durham accent you've got there. Yeah.
Willow's Bakehouse, Paper and Park Bookshop, Pretty Busy Blooms, Kira Sushi Restaurant, and just this weekend, the Black Rabbit Bar, which I'm looking forward to visiting.
Fuck is he
Will
on
the
about?
Prime Minister join me in congratulating these new businesses and outline the measures he is taking to support further regeneration of our high streets?
Yeah. What a kiss-ass lick-spittle of all the things that have gone on this week. And, these new businesses, wherever, yada, yada, yada. He was totally put up to that. What a bootlicker. Can't stand Akhurst and his ilk.
I'm delighted to hear about the new businesses in his area. Our high street strategy, backed by £301 million, will set out further plans to rejuvenate high streets across the country. We are putting
Hair dye by Chip Pan. I like that one.
Power into the hands of local communities through our Pride in Place scheme, Mr Speaker, including £20 million for Stanley South in his constituency. That is only possible because his community has a hard-working Labour MP and a Labour government.
Oh, what a ridiculous back and forth double act that was. Oh, well, yeah, great question. Great question there, great mate. Thanks a lot, great mate. I do a lot of work for charity, don't like to talk about it. Fucking hell, fuck off.
Lockhart. Mr. Speaker, some 6 months ago in this House I mentioned a little boy called Teddy Jackson. Sadly, Teddy will be forever 7 because he died last week from MLD. MLD is a horrendous condition that stole Teddy's ability to walk, talk and even smile. What makes this tragedy more profound is that here in the UK we have a treatment, we have a cure, but it's only effective if the condition is identified by the simple heel prick at birth and treated immediately, because when symptoms appear, it's too late. Just a few weeks ago, the UK Screening Committee recommended it remain excluded from the heel prick. So we have a treatment, we have a commissioned service in Manchester Royal Hospital, Children's Hospital, but yet children like Teddy are still dying prematurely. Prime Minister, despite all that's going on in the world, I know he is in politics to make a change. In Teddy's memory and in the memory of all those who have died prematurely, make the change and add MLD to the simple heel prick.
Well, I do remember her raising Teddy's case very well, and I'm very saddened to hear of his passing, and I think my thoughts, and I'm sure of the whole House, with his family and his loved ones. And I will do precisely as she asks. I'll make sure that we look at this again in light of the information she's now given to me in the course of this session.
Birthday boy Oliver Wright.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr Speaker. And happy St George's Day for tomorrow too. In Burnley, Padiham and Briarfield, we have a large number of ex-industrial derelict land sites crying out for regeneration and redevelopment.
God, I just realised the fucking Flag Brigade will be out tomorrow, won't they? God, I knew it was St George's Day. That just reminded me there. Fucking hell.
They're blighting communities and many are a fire risk. Our area in Britain needs housing, social, affordable, family, aspirational. We have the sites if he has the will. So will he back my campaign for a new regeneration and house building programme for Burnley, Padiham and Briarfield, tackling these derelict sites to get us building, growing and housing local people?
Yeah. Can I start by wishing him happy birthday? And I'll make sure ministers meet him to hear more detail about his particular proposal. We are committed to delivering 1.5 million homes this Parliament. We're prioritising development of brownfield sites.
Good, something's
ensuring
happening.
default answer to brownfield proposals is a yes. We will go further and faster. Now our Planning and Infrastructure Act is now law, despite being opposed by every party opposite. A coalition of blockers.
Tessa Mann.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
The Prime Minister may be aware that in December, for the first time in over 3 decades, Defence Ministers met the families of those killed in the 1994 RAF Chinook crash on the Mull of Kintyre. The Ministry of Defence promised, quote, ongoing dialogue with them. Is he also aware that despite receiving pages of new evidence...
1994 Chinook helicopter crash on Mull of Kintyre. I'm not too familiar with that incident. Let us know in chat if you are. Mull of Kintyre. The mist rolling in from the sea. My desire.
presented at that meeting, which show the Chinook was not airworthy. The MOD chose not to keep its word and contacted instead the Press Association, saying no new evidence had been presented about the cause of the crash. The Prime Minister knows, because the families have written to him, as the MOD does too, the families are not seeking a public inquiry into the cause of the crash, but to know the reason why their loved ones were placed on board an aircraft, which, according to the MOD's own test pilots and engineers, was described as positively dangerous, unairworthy, and not to be relied on in any way whatsoever. And those are quotes.
Well, this, what was the year? 80-something? Would have been under Thatcher's watch then.
Will he agree to meet the families, to rebuild trust and to offer the promised dialogue the MOD clearly finds so difficult to achieve?
Can I thank her for raising this, and I will make sure this is looked at, again, in light of what she's raised just a moment ago, and I'll make sure that the families get the relevant meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Between 2010 and 2024, the number of children living in poverty increased by 700,000, with Tower Hamlets having one of the highest rates in the country. This Labour government's child poverty strategy will lift over 500,000 children out of poverty.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about Tower Hamlets recently. And good to actually hear the word poverty as opposed to this cost of living crisis nonsense.
Given the economic pressures caused by external shocks and its impact on the cost of living, there's a long way to go.
I don't mean poverty is good. I'm talking about the language and the syntax, by the way. Of course, poverty itself isn't good. Just in case that came across the wrong way.
Prime Minister agree that the government should also look at setting a clear target to end child poverty for good.
Can I start by thanking her for her...
Black Bart, you live just along the road from the crash site. What of the Chinook helicopter crash in the 80s? You live on Mull of Kintyre? Really? Well, that's incredible. Is McCartney still up there, wailing away? No, seriously, that is amazing that we've got someone on stream from there. And just hearing that as well, of course, these families deserve justice. Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of local history with the incident, but how's about that, people? Quality streaming, quality audience as well from right in the heart of the matter.
Long record campaigning against child poverty. Child poverty stifles opportunity. It makes it harder for kids to get on in life. And we, this government, will not stand by. This is a moral mission for this government. We will make sure that no child or family is left behind.
Morals?
Through lifting the 2-child cap, expanding free school meals, free breakfast clubs, extending free childcare. More than 6,000 children in her constituency alone will benefit from the action that we're taking. And what would tourism reform do? They would plunge those children straight back into poverty. That is a disgrace.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, vigils are being held across Westminster for the 22 women who are diagnosed with lobular breast cancer every day. And, Mr. Speaker, I think we're privileged to say that some of those extraordinarily brave women are in the gallery this afternoon. When I raised this issue with the Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology, she promised to take action and not just commit words. So would the Prime Minister today commit to the Lobular Moonshot Project's plan to fund lobular breast cancer.
Can I thank him for drawing the House's attention to the vigils and the campaign, and can I acknowledge those in the gallery who are here today, and I will make sure that this is looked at to see what further we can do and that any relevant meetings are set.
Yeah, Comrie, if you think that Starmer's done anything about poverty, then just look around you. This is the thing we're told so much. PMQs or through mainstream media, but simply look around you. And the boarded up shop windows are still there, the beggars are still there in shop doorways at major road junctions now. If it's happening, then we're not seeing it in real life. And you make a very good point there as well. 34% of the children in Wales are in poverty. That's the real disgrace.
Rachel Baskell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In
Sixth biggest economy in the world.
1777, Bootham Park Hospital was given in trust to the people of York. Since it closed in 2015, NHS Property Services has squandered £5.5 million, almost its sale price, keeping the building empty and threatening to sell it for a luxury complex our city does not want.
And thanks for those extra deets, the Black Bat. Really good to get some extra information. Yeah, brilliant. Live from Mull of Kintyre. So McCartney still owns his farm up there. I don't know if it was Mull of Kintyre, but there was some other farmland or an area of countryside that he purchased to try and stop some developers from destroying a forest. I can't remember what it was. I might be getting two separate stories mixed up there. But yeah, awesome.
This much sought after community space for charities and services would significantly benefit York residents. So will the Prime Minister now release this site so public land can be used for public good and we get Bootham back?
Well, I know that this site is of huge significance to the people of York, and I understand the site is under offer. Ministers are happy to work with the Council and my honourable friend to find the right deal for the site, taking into account the points she's made.
Sarah Poachin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Every day that the Prime Minister fails to act or even acknowledge Pakistani grooming gangs that rape and torture vulnerable white girls, more victims continue to suffer.
One of the major news stories today here in the Northwest, 6 men were convicted for operating a grooming gang. And isn't it funny how Reform are very specific about the ethnicity of the cases which they raise compared to the ones that are, of course, in the statistical majority. That's not to say that these cases shouldn't be ignored. Of course they shouldn't, but they're the only ones that you'll hear Reform bringing up, of course. But yeah, 6 convictions in an area called Blackrod, for anybody who's familiar with the Northwest. That's just outside of Bolton here in Greater Manchester. That was just today or yesterday. And they are in the majority of the demographic as well, these 6 white lads. Local. Some of them might even have flags up, who knows?
Whilst he spends his energy forcing friends of paedophiles into top jobs, why not use that energy to stop this national disgrace?
Mr. Speaker, I spent many years prosecuting paedophiles who are now in prison. So
what about one of the most notorious ones in British history, arguably the most notorious one, former TV presenter Jimmy Savile, of course, when Starmer was former Director of Public Prosecutions, a fact that he likes to keep us reminded of.
We really don't need lectures from Reform about this.
Final question, Sonia Kumar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 2022, my constituent, Masi Sibanda, dropped her 14-year-old son, Noah, off to nursery like any other day. Tragically, this will be the last time Masi would see her son alive. A staff member at Fairy Tale Nursery tried to get him to sleep. When Noah resisted, she covered his face with a thick blanket and used her leg to pin him down. The pressure applied to his tiny body was so extreme, it ruptured his colon.
Christ.
Mr. Speaker, no parent should have to endure such unimaginable loss. The sentencing has taken place.
That's terrible.
Will the PM
My God.
meet with Massey to discuss how we can
Wow.
ensure that tragedies like this never happen again?
The case she raises is utterly tragic, and as she went through those details, I think we all would have felt the same as I did, that it must be impossible to fathom how the family must feel in relation to this awful and tragic case. I will make sure that all the necessary meetings are set up in the way that she has asked for.
That completes Prime Minister's questions.
Sorry, just taken aback by that last case that was raised there. Of course, I hope that is genuinely investigated. But as for the rest of the session, it's finished with a successful defence for Deliver, a 4-2 victory, 9 mentions of scandalous. And of course, when I mentioned Savile there, I should have also mentioned Stuart Hall, who's still alive at 96, another former television presenter as well, of course. So a really lively session, as expected, and a few calls for Starmer to resign. But he seems to think that he can ride out the storm. Of course, they've got the proroguement of Parliament next week. He's bought himself a little bit of time, but in 15 days we've got the local elections. Well, 14 days and a few minutes until the day itself. He's finished. He's doomed. He's done. The question is, how will he leave number 10 at the moment? Let's have a quick look at the poll. We do have a leader now. 38% think he'll try and hang on till the next election and lose. That's how he'll leave. 29% think a vote of no confidence or a leadership challenge. 24% resignation, and 10% think, hopefully, arrest. Lively session there. Right, so we'll be back in a fortnight with Keith's catchphrases.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole. Plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Keith. I would like to wish you luck with the Ukrainian trial thing, but I don't.
Oh no.
Well, although Postman Swat was back with a vengeance, that will not change the standings, of course. The champion hath already been crowned. Security. Just see how we're doing for time. Yeah, we can launch through this fairly quickly, I guess. Just picked out a few select clips from the better scrutiny that Starmer got on Monday. A few examples, then one or two media appearances, and we'll take a look at some recent polling as well, of course. First up, though, we're going to hear from Ian Byrne, MP.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Peter Mandelson once spoke of the Labour left being sealed in a tomb. Today, it is the toxic politics he came to represent that should be buried. Politics that repels millions and drifts far from the values on which our party was founded. If we are serious about renewal, serious about learning the lessons of this troubling episode, then we must confront that culture, what enabled it. That means looking at figures such as the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, a protege of Mandelson's, and of the network of influence around him. Mandelson's appointment
with his conveniently missing phone,
as we learned today. It reflects a wider direction under the Prime Minister, where those behind the Labour Together project wielded significant influence in developing this toxic culture, which has been allowed to take hold of number 10 in the governing of our country. It points to a political culture that lacks candour, exists to promote wealth and power, and ignores all else in pursuit of this. It's a culture where proximity to power outweighs principle, where access counts far more than accountability, and where the suffering of victims is overshadowed by connections. When decisions are driven by patronage and power is concentrated in a narrow circle, it is not only our internal party democracy that suffers, but the integrity of our public institutions and our country. And too often, it is our civil servants, those who serve with professionalism and integrity, who are left to carry the consequences. I want to commend Sir Ollie Robbins for giving evidence today. His professionalism and dedication after a week where he has been very publicly hounded by some in governments was commendable. And it was good to see his trade union backing him steadfastly at the committee today. Robbins will be a loss to the FCDO and the country, all brought about by a series of catastrophic political decisions by number 10. That is not right, not fair, and it's not what the public expects of elected officials. And because of this, the public will rightly demand accountability and cultural change. This must begin with a thorough review of the political operation which brought the Prime Minister to power and which clearly continues to carry undue influence over this government. So I once again, as I have asked on multiple occasions, now in both letters to the Prime Minister and speeches in this place, call for a full, transparent and independent investigation into the activities and practices of Labour Together, both prior to and after the election of this government. Only then will we fully understand how this exclusive political network has been able to undermine our democracy and institutions right at the heart of government.
And Starmer won't like the fact that Labour Together is coming up, being brought up so many times in Parliament. This is supposed to be, you know, all behind the scenes shady stuff. It's being dragged right into the limelight at the moment, and Ian Byrne wasn't the only MP. To bring it up, we're going to hear from John McDonnell next. Who brings some further criticism from within.
Can I say that on this side of the House, at least, to my honourable friend, many will appreciate his apology today. But many of us will remain bewildered still why that appointment took place, despite the warnings that many of us gave him. And isn't the reality this, that when he sought to realise his ambition to become leader of the Labour Party, with very little base within the party, he became dependent on McSweeney and Mandelson and Labour Together to organise, fund his election. And that when he became Prime Minister, the reward for McSweeney was control of number 10, and for Mandelson, the highest diplomatic office. And the message, the unspoken message to civil servants was, what Mandelson wants, Mandelson gets. This has damaged the party that I've been a member of for 50 years. I urge him to take steps to clear this toxic culture out of our party and take the first step by having an independent inquiry into Labour Together.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, can I just deal with what's at the heart of that question in relation to an unspoken message to civil servants? I don't accept that, Mr. Speaker. It is simply not good enough on a question of national security where clearance, the recommendation is clearance be denied, for anyone, particularly senior civil servants, to do anything other than provide me with the relevant information, and that is what should have happened in this case.
He didn't even respond to Labour Together, of course. Won't bite the hand that feeds him. Won't even respond to it being the actual nucleus of what John McDonnell was said, and just went on to robotically repeat vetting procedure, statements, yada yada yada. But what John McDonnell said was true. They got him in the first place. This was a whole operation since 2015, since Starmer joined the Labour Party. So for 11 years, the Operation Starmer, as it were, has been going on, and it's been people like Labour Together, as well as LFI, who've been behind the whole thing. Let's go across to Wales now, because I'm sure that Comrie won't mind seeing this one again. Liz Saville-Roberts.
How can the Prime Minister now express sympathy for victims of crimes committed by a man whose closest associates he chose to elevate? How can he claim to share their pain when he made himself the very decision that caused such distress for them? And just this morning, Sir Ollie Robbins told the Foreign Affairs Select Committee that Downing Street asked the Foreign Office to find a senior diplomatic role for the Prime Minister's then Communications Chief, Matt Doyle, even though Doyle had campaigned for a friend charged with possessing indecent images of children. This is the government that promised to turn the page on Tory sleaze and restore trust and integrity to British politics. Instead, not once, but twice, the Prime Minister pressured the civil service to appoint friends of known sex offenders to senior diplomatic roles.
So Liz was one of the first people to get the ball rolling on this thing. And then, in investigating that, another name will come up and so on. Already said that a couple of times on the stream already, but that's what I foresee happening. Can of worms, so to speak. Because you do have a sordid network, and every network has nodes and whatnot. And there's a chain. There are links in that chain. So we've seen this whole sordid political web, hopefully, unravel before our eyes and take Starmer out with it, because it's absolutely corrupt to the core. They don't want to represent you, they don't want to represent any of the constituents. It's all about power, money, control and career. And again, going over the border, this time to the north, we're going to hear from Stephen Flynn, not his House of Commons appearance, which was very decent, of course, on Monday, but he did appear on Newsnight as well, and past comments, which we're going to see now.
He chose to appoint the Prince of Darkness, and that darkness has now enveloped him.
Stephen Flynn, has the Prime Minister convinced you?
No.
Why not?
Well, let's go back to first principles here. The Prime Minister chose to appoint Peter Mandelson as the UK's lead diplomat to the United States of America, despite knowing of his continued relationship with the world's most notorious paedophile.
And he's apologised for that and acknowledged it was a mistake.
But he knew that when he appointed him, and I think that's unforgivable in and of itself. But the question then leads to, so is the Prime Minister gullible? Is he incompetent? Or is he perhaps something worse than that? Now, the public will be making a determination in that regard right now, but one thing's for certain, the trust that he might have had with them has been completely eroded. He chose to appoint the Prince of Darkness, and that darkness has now enveloped him.
I like that quote about being enveloped by the darkness. Hopefully that's certainly what's happening, but it's a huge weight to bear now. That is Scandalson. We told you so. What can we say? We told you so. Yes, or Stephen Flynn is certainly aware of him by reputation, even if Keir Starmer wasn't. Claims that he wasn't. He was. He's just Peter. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. Who's laughing now, chump? Even... Going to take a look at this one now. Even Ed Miliband has given up on defending Starmer. Did you see this appearance? So at first he does initially make something of an attempt, but the more it's obviously put to him by the presenters, he is eventually resigned to just saying, yeah. I mean, you've got a fair point and that's it, and basically you've got him banged to rights. He doesn't even try from that point because he knows it's probably not worth it. Why expend energy on kissing the arse of the current leader when he's going to be out by hook or crook potentially very soon?
That whole due diligence
right.
report
So we're going to hear from Ed now. Off you go, Ed.
saying Lord Mandelson was a walking red flag. Keir Starmer reads it, decides to appoint a walking red flag to be the US ambassador, and nobody thinks that's a problem at the time.
Well, I think, look, it was a...
And again, it's fury coming from GMB.
Very risky appointment.
A shout out to Saul Staniforth for this clip, I should say as well. By the way, definitely an account worth following.
And it turns out to be been extremely risky for all the reasons that we now know.
I'm not sure. If I'm watching you, I'm not sure what else anyone...
She's not even said anything and he's already conceding, going, yeah. Potentially doing the sort of politician pretending to listen act, of course. But I think it is more a case of him just having given up. He knows what she's about to come back with, because he knows what the truth is, and even before she gets 2 words into the sentence, he's just, yep. Just skip that back a moment so we can check out the timing. She hasn't even started, and he gives in.
If I'm watching you, I'm not sure what...
A bit further back. Oh, nice freeze frame. Say it with me, people. Caption that one. That's a good one. When Ed Miliband gets home and finds ...
appointment, and it turns out to be been extremely risky for all the reasons that we now know.
If I'm watching you, I'm not sure what else anyone needed to tell the person at the top of government about this individual that would have made it clear it wasn't just risky, it was wrong. What else did you need to know at that moment?
Well, look, it's a fair point. It's a fair point, and he shouldn't have been appointed. That.
Can I just collect my fee and leave now? Please, yes. Starmer's lying to everybody. I certainly can't be, but I'm not going to try and do the fucking Miliband thing on the live stream. But from this moment, I'll just zoom and enhance. That is a face that does not care, isn't it, people? Look at Ed there. Look at Miliband. That's the moment he absolutely gave up. And he knows he sure isn't going to be the leader to replace him. So why bother? Just look at him, man. Have you ever seen... He probably didn't even look so dejected in 2010 when he lost the election. Sorry, 2015. Goodness. Nearly made a schoolboy error.
Well, look, it's a fair point. I mean, look, it's a fair point, and he shouldn't have been appointed. That is right.
It is right, he was a liability. You can't not know that. Someone else who has given up, but unintentionally. Check out this particular week performance from someone we've not taken a look at for a while, actually. Until this stream brought him up a little bit earlier on. It's the life and soul of the party, Pat McFadden, who's going to do an excellent job in...
So, the security vetting procedure, and try not to slip into a coma whilst I'm trying to get to the end of this sentence.
Pat also looks as though he's just got back from holiday with Luke Akehurst on Mercury as well.
But I just wanted to start with something that we learned yesterday. Ollie Robbins claimed that Number 10 pushed for an ambassadorship for Matthew Doyle, former Director of Communications, now suspended Labour peer. Is that true?
It's the first I'd heard of it yesterday. I don't know what conversations took place between Number 10 and the Foreign Office about that, but it didn't come to anything, and I don't think Matthew had the experience to become an ambassador. So I don't know what...
what's he saying?
If he was about to leave Number 10...
Can someone not just do me a transcript? God.
And what conversations were taking place.
I mean, you're doing the interview today. You must have asked them. Did it happen?
Well, I don't know.
The implication is that it was Keir Starmer, right? That he was like, right, let's get this guy a nice posting.
Look,
did that happen?
It's not unusual.
You're going on the telly, Pat, and you know that they're going to ask you about the appointment. Are you not going to maybe find out so that you've got that information and you don't make yourself look like the absolute tit that you're about to on national television?
Usual, if someone's leaving, to say, what do you want to do next? Quite what he was asked what he wanted to do next, I don't know.
I'm really sorry. Cause normally I'm quite forgiving when people say, I don't know. In this situation, when it was this time, yesterday morning, you must have asked the question. Or if you didn't ask the questions because you wanted to come in here and say, I'm really sorry, I don't know. I don't accept that.
No, I always try to prepare, but...
So what did you do? Did you ask Number 10 what happened?
The important point for me is...
No, sorry, this is an important point for me. Did you ask Number 10 what happened?
So I'm told no appointment was made.
But
that's
did you ask Number 10... We know no appointment was made.
Rubbish poker face as well.
Did you ask Number...
Looking... Just trying to figure out which way around this is. That's the he knows that she knows that he knows that she knows face. The smirk there with the eyes. You see it on so many politicians when they found out they're not very good at hiding what's going on. They have crap poker faces.
Number 10 if it is true that Keir Starmer asked for an ambassadorship from Matthew Doyle. Did you ask the question?
I don't think he would have been right for such a post. I think it's right that no appointment was made.
Did you ask the question?
I don't know what conversations were held with Matthew.
Did you ask the question?
What question?
Fucking hell, Pat, the one that she's been going on about for the last 2 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. What am I here for? What's going on?
You asked number 10 if it's true Keir Starmer asked for an ambassadorship for Matthew Doyle. Did you ask that question?
I don't think.
Just how he'd pretend. What was the question? Quick, think of something. Think of anything. What question?
Keir Starmer would have asked for this. I don't know what conversation.
Did you ask the question? It's a really simple. You know the answer to that question. Did you ask the question?
I have not asked if Keir Starmer asked this.
Okay. And why did you not ask that? Because you
why
wanted
didn't
to
you
come
ask
on
that?
here
I don't
and
think
say
the
you didn't
Prime
know anything
Minister
about it.
No, because I don't think the Prime Minister would be in a position of picking up a phone on a personnel matter like that.
He's not an appropriate choice for that, is it? And I guess part of the reason I think that people feel frustrated about this is that Labour is supposed to be the party of equality, where, you know, status and class doesn't matter.
He really is the life and soul of the party, isn't he?
And what this whole saga stinks of, really, from Mandelson to Matthew Doyle, is jobs for the boys, who you know, being looked after. Do you see what I'm saying here?
The rationale for appointing Peter Mandelson, it was a political appointment. It's not the way ambassadors are usually.
Of course it was. The United Kingdom ambassadorship to the United States of America is a political appointment, is it, Pat? Thanks for clearing that up. Because I didn't know what category it came under. Thanks a lot for clearing that up. Of course, by default, it was a political appointment. But it shouldn't have happened, and it was pure cronyism from the start.
Appointed. That's unusual, but it's not unheard of. The rationale for it was you had a highly political US administration. You had a highly business-focused US administration. Here was someone that was a political operator who had been a business secretary.
And what was the rationale for pushing for Matthew Doyle to get an ambassadorship?
Well, I don't think that was a good idea, and if it happened, it came to nothing.
Okay, but I just wanted to...
There he is, Pat McFadden. He does actually host his own talk show himself, yes. Interviews other political figures and whatnot. You can find some of the episodes of the Pat McFadden Experience in the playlists of My Left Eye, or if you just want to search through previous content, just punch in Pat McFadden there and this should come up. He's interviewed the likes of Wes Streeting, Angela Rayner. There's a few episodes still waiting for the... Yeah, what's going on, Pat? The people are waiting to hear your genuine episodes. That is definitely not impersonations. Right, yeah, seriously though, check them out. That's other content on My Left Eye. If you like a bit of tongue-in-cheek humour at Pat's expense, that is. The Duchy of Lancaster. I'm not going to play an episode on stream now. I'm a bit short on time. But the dickhead at the whole centre of this, of course, was pinned down by an ITV reporter yesterday.
A lot of people have lost their jobs because of your appointment. Do you have sympathy for that?
Just briefly, you can see he's out here walking his dog with... What the fuck is he holding? Not the guy with the microphone, the fucking Prince of Darkness. But he's not really in a talkative mood here. He's doing the whole... doesn't even acknowledge the existence of the reporter, actually.
A lot of people have lost their jobs because of your appointment.
It's quite interesting to see him out in direct sunlight, isn't it? Must be some new extra factor cream going on there is evil ways, and this is a new menace now that he can survive in sunlight.
Do you have sympathy for that?
That's probably why he's in a rush as well. It might be wearing off. He's got to get back into his house. He's going back to his house with his dog that definitely won't be sacrificed and or eaten by the end of the day.
The Prime Minister says it was a mistake to appoint you. Do you think he's the right person to be a number 10?
What is... Oh, it's for throwing, a ball for the dog. Just wondered what that was. They might have caught him coming out of another one of his particularly awkward parties.
So far, you, Ollie Robbins...
I really hope that it's for throwing the ball for the dog.
Morgan McSweeney have all lost their jobs. Do you think the Prime Minister should carry on in number 10?
And he just goes about it. Yeah, of course. Not that I have any sympathy for Morgan McSweeney, but Ollie Robbins has been thrown under the bus over all this as well, of course. I do feel sorry for the dog as well. Divinia, of all the people. Or is that what we're... Or maybe Starmer will become reduced to. Instead of a certain well-known former German Chancellor, it will be the Mandelson likes dogs case. He's really such a big animal lover. But what's all this done to affect the latest data in the polls? We're going to take a look at a few different examples. First up, pertaining to Starmer directly. Just how honest do the British public think he is? Let's see what's happening. And all across the board, bar within the Labour Party, overwhelmingly, they say dishonest, 70 to 30 overall. The most dishonest coming from Reform voters, then followed by the Tories, then the Greens, then Lib Dem. Would have expected a bit more of a, especially from the Greens. 40 even from within Labour isn't particularly good. That's a more in common survey taken this month. That's not great as far as Starmer's chances go. Council elections are 2 weeks away now. It's officially Thursday. Let's see how things are looking there. So this will be who's going to get most seats and the swings. Tempted to hesitate a moment. It's a shame you can only do one poll during a stream. But for gains, it'd be worth just considering who you think may or may not be in the lead. Or also considering just how bad it might turn out for Labour. Will they finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th? How many council seats might they potentially lose? Well, this is the latest. According to, again, more in common. What do you make of this, people? Reform gaining 1,437 to put them on the top of the pile. The Greens gaining 926 in 2nd. Lib Dem in 3rd. With a significant gain of about 1/3. The Tories down 627, and look at Labour there in 5th. An astonishing predicted loss of 1,738 seats, although some say they might be looking at losing more than 2,000. Don't know how surprised you might be if that happens, but do you think this is the accurate accounting? Is this fairly close to what you might have envisaged? Obviously, very happy to see a significant gain for the Greens. Becomes a bit of a mouthful after a while, but I don't mind saying gains for the Greens. I think it'll be a bit closer. That is between Reform and the Green Party. I can certainly see Labour's losses being roughly accurate or somewhat understated. Yeah, right-leaning surveyor as well, with more in common. But there are more stats out there, people, especially pertaining to the capital, where Labour could potentially see the worst results ever, or if not in decades or centuries. Well, not that the Labour Party has been around for that many centuries, but you know what I mean. So this is a bit of a analysis from Sky that was on earlier, pertaining to London. Let's see what's happening.
Change, but let's look at this in a historical perspective. This is back over time, over 50 years, and you can see 50 years ago, pretty much, that Labour and the Tories were pretty much neck and neck. That's changed over the years, but Labour always with a pretty strong holding. That was last time round. And here are the percentages for this time. You can see Labour down a lot on 26%, Tories 17, Lib Dems 15. It's the Greens having a big jump there on 22 and Reform UK on 14%. So that's quite a big mix. Multi-party politics hits the capital. Now let's look at how London does better for Labour than anywhere else. The last election, 48% voted Labour, and it was the most popular place for the party, more popular than anywhere else in any of these other regions. Right now, Labour's figure has dropped in the capital to 25%, but it's still the part of the country most likely to vote for Labour. So that is...
Look at that, 25%. In London. Because one thing I've always found ironic is that, of course, in capitalist societies, in the capital themselves, a lot of people generally vote socialist. Somewhat ironic. The capital of capital. But there, again, in the north, down from 47 to 21. Just wait for your man to move out of the way.
I think MPs will be...
Midlands 40 to 16. Scotland 37 down to 12. Total rejection there, of course. And in Wales, again, slightly similar, 31 down to 14. Well done, Scotland. Well done, Wales. The so-called rest of the South, that is not the rest of the South. Mainstream media. The rest of the South. To someone in Manchester, that means something completely different. And of course, to someone in Newcastle, it would be completely different as it would be someone in Scotland. Anyway, rest of the South. So that includes, Southampton, Bournemouth, Cornwall, wherever. John O'Friggin Groats. Land's End, sorry. 30 to 13. So that's 30 to 13% in such a short amount of time as well. You can see compared to the 3rd of July 2024. Not looking great for Starmer. Something else in chat, yep. Starmer's personal polling is lower than Tony Blair's. That feat has been achieved. Worst personal approval rating of any Prime Minister in history. Incredible.
Be watching the capital very closely, worried about their own seats, particularly the man at the centre, Keir Starmer, a London man. His future depends on what happens there.
Holborn St Pancras, of course. Starmer's seat's under great threat. Most likely that threat is going to come from Andrew Feinstein, so we'll see what happens where that's concerned. Should Keir Starmer leave number 10, I don't think he'll stick around as an MP for very long. Safe to say that the only reason he became an MP in the first place was to get him into the position that he is at the moment, whilst of course undermining the former leader of the opposition along the way. So he's going to take an absolute walloping. Let's just hope that more of that vote share goes towards the Greens and Socialists, grassroots and independents. And again, yeah, I haven't brought this up since I first mentioned it on stream. Of course, I had my previous issues with George Galloway himself, but now, after that ridiculous sort of post about so-called woke culture on social media, completely dismissed Workers' Party of Britain as a consideration for a party to get behind now. Unfortunately, I have to sort of draw the line at certain points, and that's one of them. Unless it turns out they were hacked or something like that. But to be honest, at the moment, it's all about Lansky and the Greens. Where that is the gravity of the vote is. You have to be realistic. A good point as mentioned in chat. Reform have already U-turned on the manifesto pledges of reopening Welsh mines and blast furnaces in Port Talbot, is that? Yeah. Because it's impossible due to the cost. Okay, people, we'll put UK politics behind us now. Just time for a very quick go through some of the latest in the Middle East. The blockade standoff has been in force since I was last with you on stream. Iran, though, is reported to have seized 2 vessels earlier today. Those are the major changes. Trump is trying to say that there's going to be negotiations, but you don't take anything he says seriously. You're more likely to get an accurate description from those Lego films that have been going around, as we've been saying. Also, since I was last with you on stream, Trump made a direct threat towards the Pope on his Truth Social. So, well, this is it. I'll just read through it. He says, as President of the United States, I have access to information that could bring down the papacy, the Vatican and the entire Catholic Church overnight. These are so-called Vatican files, which I won't release out of respect for the billion Catholics worldwide, but the weak Pope Leo of Vatican would do well to remember who he has to answer to. If he continues to interfere in... This is after some, of course, criticism of the United States and Israel's actions in Gaza. But he says if he continues to interfere in politics on behalf of the terrorist regime of Iran, the misinformation Pope spreads regarding special combat operation is extremely dangerous. Then he says, capitals, Jesus would have wanted peace through strength. Okay. Just like I do. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, and we will use our overwhelming strength to make sure they never do. This path to peace. The path to peace. He skips the word is, apparently. The path to peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President DJT. President of the United States. There. Yeah, just after the Pope said, Israel should stop attacking Palestine, America and Israel should stop attacking Iran. It's senseless, blah blah blah. This. Threatening people with files, is it, Donald? Right, we'll go for another comedy clip next. Someone who's not been on the stream for a while, but he's been on tour and stuff as well. The fantastic Matt Green. So once again, there's a link in the description for the channel and the video. Go and subscribe and stuff.
The Prime Minister is in trouble over his decision to make Peter Mandelson ambassador to the US. Our heavy vetting, bloodletting and sidestepping correspondent Jonathan Goodenough has more. Yes, that's right, choosing Mandelson must be the worst decision that a Prime Minister's made since Liz Truss said, how about we do a budget but make it smaller? Is it really that bad? Well, no, not really, but over the last few years we've got a bit addicted to the drama, so I'm trying to make the most of it. So is Starmer really in trouble? Well, if his government was rising to expectations, riding high in the polls and expecting a good result in the local elections next week, he could shrug this off as all Westminster bubble nonsense. But as things stand, he's the most hated Prime Minister in history, which is really going some, and his party's chances in the upcoming elections are about as high as Donald Trump's chances of winning the Nobel Prize for Literature, which means that Sir Keir has every reason to say, oh dear. What's that? Sir Keir has every reason to say, oh dear. I'm trying to make it a catchphrase. No, thank you. So Starmer sacked senior civil servant Ollie Robbins, who then gave testimony to the Foreign Affairs Select Committee. What did we learn? Well, I learned that Ollie Robbins is not the same person as Ollie Robinson, a former England cricketer, or even Ollie Robinson, a potential England cricketer, or even Ollie Robinson, a former England rugby player. You had to look that last one up. Was it Wikipedia? I would never reveal my sources. Anyway, Ollie Robbins made it clear that Number 10 was extremely keen to appoint Mandelson as ambassador, despite or even because of his sketchy past. Because of? Well, there are suggestions that some in government thought that Mandelson's forays into the world of Jeffrey Epstein and co. would actually help ingratiate him into the world of Trump, in a sort of use-a-nonce to catch-a-nonce strategy. Really? But there's little evidence that that would actually work, and it's more likely he was simply being rewarded for his support of Morgan McSweeney and others, in a sort of quid pro quo arrangement. Okay. But in the end, his sketchy past came back to haunt Starmer in what can only be described as a blindingly obvious shooting yourself in the face debacle. And what's all this about vetting? Well, it's quite simple. Either number 10 were desperate to appoint Mandelson, but if Ollie Robbins had explained there'd been some vetting issues, they'd have immediately withdrawn him, or Ollie Robbins understood that number 10 didn't want to hear about any vetting issues because they were desperate to appoint Mandelson and didn't want to withdraw him. Or everyone assumed that everyone else understood that Mandelson was super dodgy, but they assumed that's why he was being appointed in the first place. So where does this leave the Prime Minister? Well, as Ed Miliband said earlier this week, Prime Ministers are only human, and humans make mistakes, before presumably adding in his head, but you could change which human was Prime Minister, perhaps even trying a human called Ed Miliband. Thank you, Jonathan. Sir Keir has every reason to say, thank you, Jonathan. Next up, as the ceasefire between the US and Iran has extended, we ask, does Donald Trump have a plausible strategy to extricate himself from this war? And would he understand half of the words in that sentence?
Matt Green. Also check out mattgreencomedy.com. I'm not sure if he's still on tour, but if he is, definitely worth checking out as well. It's a good bit of stand-up as well. Time for another shout out to all the members on the channel. And thanks again for all your contributions on tonight's stream as well. 178 members towards the 250 target. We've had some super chats as well on stream. Much appreciated. Hit the join button if you'd like to know the perks becoming a member on the channel for just a fraction of the price of a tasty hot beverage as well, people. If you're watching back later on, super thanks are still open, and of course there's the Buy Me a Coffee page in the description of any content on the channel. I'll be calling it a night in a few moments, people, but do stick around. We'll be doing a raid into another friend of the channel. Thanks again, members. Yeah, I think we're going to raid into the Vanguard. I think we might have just missed Katie Marshall. Maybe she just wrapped up. There are some upcoming streams available, but nothing live for Katie. Must have just missed her. So we'll go to Vanguard instead. More streams to come on My Left Eye before the week is out, of course. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on those. Please do check out some of our most recent videos as well. Hit the thumbs up button, and depending on where you're watching from, if you're on a mobile device, it might give you the option to give some hype points, so please do that on some of our content as well. All that remains for me to say on this stream, though, is power to the people, free Palestine, Lebanon, Sudan and Yemen. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Don't watch the news, be the news, and My Left Eye. Be seeing you soon. Good night, everybody.
Off you go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. That's easy!
The door is open and you can leave.
It's what Hitler and Goering did, and it is textbook. And if you think the next time it happens, we're gonna recognize it because they're wearing scary uniforms, you're out of your damn mind.